Hello, part 8 of Fanny Crosby today, so that is very exciting. We are almost to the end of her story, believe it or not. As we left off, Fanny was writing hymns for Mr. Bradbury. Fanny stood on the sidewalk in front of the office for W.B. Bradbury and Company. A strong gust of wind swept down the street. She listened to the leaves scratch the sidewalk as the wind carried them along. Straightening her hat, she climbed the steps to the door, wondering, will Mr. Bradbury like my newest hymn? She visited the office regularly now. Fanny, Mr. Bradbury exclaimed after he heard the poem, how do you write such perfect songs? They are just what churches need. The little woman leaned forward. Why, sir, I always pray before thinking of even one word. God gives me ideas. He helps me remember scripture verses I've memorized, and he guides me to the right words. Mr. Bradbury was not well and often had to go away for a rest. Finally, he became so sick that he could not set Fanny's songs to music. He called for Fanny. This is my final interview, he said. My work is done. You must continue what I have begun. I'm going to be forever with the Lord. 4 years after they met, Mr. Bradbury died, and Fanny was heartbroken. The first hymn they had composed together was sung at his funeral. Fanny continued working for their publishing company. Soon, she was their most well-known songwriter. Because of the growing popularity of her hymns, she was invited to speak at YMCAs, churches, and prisons. A friend felt Fanny needed someone else to set her hymns to music and urged her to send her latest poems to Howard Doane. Howard Doane was a rich businessman who had written music since he was 16. He was only 30 when he had a heart attack. While recovering from his illness, he felt God wanted him to write sacred melodies and compile hymn books. But Mr. Doane was not a poet, and some of his best tunes had no words. While on a visit to New York City, he was asked to write a hymn for the anniversary of a mission. He had a tune in mind, but no poem could be found. Kneeling on the floor of his hotel room, he asked God to send him a suitable poem and a poet who could write words for all of his songs. Just then, someone knocked on the door. A messenger boy handed him an envelope addressed to Mr. William Howard Doane. Quickly, he read the letter. Mr. Doane, I have never met you, but I feel impelled to send you this hymn. May God bless it, Fanny Crosby. The poem began, More like Jesus would I be. It was just what Doane wanted. He sat down and wrote a gentle tune for the words. When the mission director heard the song, he exclaimed, Where did you get that song? Mr. Doane answered, Fanny Crosby sent it. Do you know where I could find her? Writing down her address, Howard Doane determined to meet her. Wealthy, well-dressed Howard Doane felt people staring at him as he climbed to the 3rd floor of the poor house one evening. He knocked at the attic door to which he had been directed. A little woman answered the door and peered at Mr. Doane through the greenish-colored glass. Could you please direct me to Miss Fanny Crosby? He asked. Fanny smiled. I am Fanny. Welcome to my home. Mr. Doane was shocked at her surroundings, but he was even more shocked to learn Fanny could not see through her glasses. Putting Mr. Doane at ease, Fanny said, God bless you, dear friend. How glad I am to find you. Mr. Doane pressed a bill into Fanny's hand. This is for the song you sent me, he said, as he urged her to keep the money. Fanny thought the payment was the usual $1 or $2 she received for a song. Later, someone told her it was a $20 bill. Mr. Doane intended to pay her well for every song. As the weeks passed, Fanny enjoyed working with Mr. Doane. He introduced her to his wife, whose name was also Fanny. Soon she felt like a member of their family. One day, Mr. Doane rushed into Fanny's apartment. He said to her, I have 40 minutes until I must meet a train to leave. I have a tune for you. Perhaps you could write a poem to match it. He hummed this simple melody once. Fanny clapped her hands. "Why, that says 'safe in the arms of Jesus.'" She hurried to the other room in her apartment, knelt and prayed. She returned shortly and gave Mr. Doane the words to the new hymn, "Safe in the Arms of Jesus." Mr. Doane introduced the song at the Sunday School convention. It became a favorite immediately. Eventually, it was translated into over 200 languages. For the rest of her life, Fanny received letters about this song from all parts of the world. Christians who were dying were comforted by the song. A prisoner continued to believe by repeating the words constantly. A sailor on the high seas was saved when he heard the song. And I would like to share this song with you today. Here is "Safe in the Arms of Jesus" by Fanny Crosby. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love o'ershaded, sweetly my soul shall rest. Hark, 'tis the voice of angels, born in a song to me, over the fields of glory, over the jasper sea. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love o'ershaded, sweetly my soul shall